Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today what I want to do is go ahead and react to another one of Tim Pool's episodes about fatness. I heard some word from Lisa about this, so I am calling her out. She suggested that I react to this on the channels. By the way, I do just want to do a quick announcement. I am going to be doing a podcast with Lisa in the summer, so that's huge. I have some socials. I'm going to put them in the description, and we're going to be doing that in the summer. That's where we're going to get into more of the research and that kind of stuff and all that in depth when it comes to the diet that I do and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, today what I want to do is talk about Tim Pool again, and I want to show the sort of failures of keto yet again, while we can also, it looks as if this person is going to talk about what she eats as a fat person. So we can also break down what she's eating and what a typical fat person eats. So I feel like we can kind of cover a lot of different bases in this video. So let's go ahead and get started.
It's a sad video, and I feel bad for this young woman who is 16 years old, who is apparently a foodie. We have this tweet from Gina Bontempo. A 16-year-old shares what she eats in a day. Are we supposed to just pretend like this is normal and fine, and these eating habits aren't putting a strain on our healthcare system and affecting the future of our country? Is it fat phobic to remind everyone that half of the U.S. is obese?
So I wouldn't say that it's fat phobic to say that, but I would say back in the day, these were some of the arguments that people were making against socialized medicine. When you do incorporate that into taxes and all that stuff, people feel like they have a right to comment on what you do. So again, a lot of people within fat acceptance, they do support leftist policies and all these things, but they often sort of, pun intended, they want their cake, but they want to eat it too. I would say it depends on what you do. You know, it depends on your country. It depends on how it is. But I'm not a fan of this type of shaming. I've talked about it a lot on this channel. I don't think it's helpful. I think it actually makes things worse a lot of the time. I think that people do not actually look at what is causing people to eat this way. They don't ask people questions. They don't want to hear answers from fat people. I've seen that plenty on this channel, to be honest. But I can understand where the resentment comes from. If we do have, you know, a sort of shared healthcare system, then people are going to be angry about it. So that is sort of a catch-22 with this type of system. And I'm not here to suggest any other kind of system or whatever. That's not what this channel is. But it is a result of the way things are. And I also just want to say, isn't it interesting that this health system has clearly failed this teenage girl? Clearly. So I think it's, like I said, I'm not one to throw everything out in regards to the medical system, but I am one that does suggest that we do question the medical system. And when it comes to the whole for-profit plus government money plus whatever thing that we have going on here in the United States, it's a little shady, period. But let's go ahead. This person is obviously very much in the blaming the fat person category, which I think there's an interaction between environment and fatness, or like between environment and person. I don't put it all in one category, especially not for somebody who's 16. It's a little different. But let's see what else they have to say.
Man. So here's what I had to eat on Friday. Well, Friday I had food poisoning, so I ate yogurt. I stole it from Kara. I'll have to buy you some more yogurt. Sorry. And I was really
Did he just eat yogurt?
sick. That is what it is. But on Saturday, feeling much better, The only thing I ate all day was a chicken salad sandwich on a croissant with some barbecue potato chips.
Okay. So, on this channel, we talk a lot about seed oils. We talk a lot about the PUFA. So, what PUFA is essentially a fatty acid. It's polyunsaturated fatty acids, essentially. And what it does is it tends to increase hypo. It tends to make you in a more hypothyroid state or a more inflamed state. That's why we talk about it a lot on this channel, because most people that are obese, they are suffering, especially morbidly obese and super morbidly obese, they are suffering from a form of hypothyroidism. It's often induced by PUFA, which is typically within seed oils in very, very high amounts. Now, I do have to clarify that these oils are, or these fats in and of themselves are not bad. It's more so the ratio. Your saturated fat should be much higher than your PUFA fat. But in our society today, we put seed oils in everything, and that greatly increases those PUFAs versus saturated fat ratio. Because, of course, as the medical system says, saturated fat is bad, which has led to a lot of the obesity issues. Also, sugar is bad, which has also led to a lot of the obesity issues. The less sugar we eat, the less saturated fat we eat, the more PUFA we eat, and the more obesity skyrockets. But I do just want to say, isn't it interesting that Tim, who is thinner, is also eating a very, very heavy amount of PUFA, which is probably and very likely having mental health effects and causing a paranoia in regards to weight gain, because those oils and those foods, they do make you gain weight easier. So even with lesser calories, you can still kind of gain weight if you eat a reasonable amount of calories. You can end up putting weight on. So it sounds as if he is trying to restrict to prevent from getting fat. Restrict very much so. Having just yogurt one day and just a sandwich and a bag of chips the next day is a huge amount of restriction in order to stay thin. And it is insane, in my opinion.
And a cold brew coffee. And that was a lot for me.
One sandwich and a bag of chips. How big was the bag of chips? Was it a huge bag of chips? That's like 800 calories. A sandwich is maybe 450 or 500, depending on what it is. So you could have had 12 or 1300 calories as a man. I don't know how tall Tim is, but that is very low. That is drastically low. You obviously will not gain weight eating that little amount of calories, but you will feel like you're starving. And it will affect your mood, and it will affect a lot of other factors.
Bread and potato chips? I normally don't go that carb heavy.
Potato chips are the worst food, especially because they're cooked in those oils. I can tell you, and I hear a lot of hate sometimes, and people try to say, oh, you should never listen to Alex, or you shouldn't listen to people like him because he's fat, and so he doesn't know what he's talking about. By your own logic, I know how I got huge. I know what I ate. I ate a lot of chips. Tons. And I had tons of seed oils. That's how I got to be almost 400 pounds. So you want to know the secret? You guys that are always like, if you want to have the same results as somebody, then listen to them. Okay. Well, I'm almost 400, or I was almost 400 pounds. I'm telling you what I ate to get there. It's this stuff. It's chips. Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of chips. Lots of Oreos. Lots of horrible baked goods. Those things growing up. But especially chips. It's one of the worst things to eat. Period.
I have, say, like some chicken breast and asparagus when the girlfriend cooks for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think a lot of his diet is more... It's less pro-thyroid. I mean, if he said... I think he said... Did he say chicken breast? Hold on.
Normally, I have, say, like some chicken breast and asparagus.
Okay.
When the girl
Chicken breast, it's decent unless if it's cooked in those oils, which it could have been.
cooks for me, you know what I mean? But I was hanging out as I do on the weekends at the local Hollywood casino, and I had some deli food. That was the only thing I ate. I didn't need to eat any more than that. It was enjoyable, quite delicious, and I did not feel the need to eat anything else. The next day, I had the same thing. It was really good. However, later on, I did make the mistake of having some pepperoni pizza, which I will not do again. But that was it. In one day, I had a sandwich for breakfast, on a croissant, with some chips and a coffee. And then later that day, I had a slice of pepperoni pizza. Today, I am going.
That's very, very little. Very little. I think it's very unrealistic to expect a super morbidly obese person to eat that little. I think even for you, Tim, it's on the lower end, honestly. I wouldn't suggest eating like that long term because it will cause issues, particularly with mental health, but it will affect your physical health as well, obviously, as they are connected.
Have another sandwich. Yeah, I know. A little bit of bread back in the diet, but I keep my carbs around 50 to 80 per day or less.
No. So on this channel, we are very anti-keto. We're also anti-vegan for the record, so we keep it fair. We, I guess, try to piss everybody off. But no, 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 no. Not good to be doing low carb. It's very anti-testosterone. It's anti-thyroid. It's not good. It will affect your mood horribly. You can pull it off at a thinner weight, but if you are morbidly obese, do not be keto. If you are super morbidly obese, do not be keto. If you have fatty liver, do not be keto. If you have diagnosed hypothyroidism, do not be keto. It is terrible for you in those states. You will feel horrible very fast, probably within a day. People who are super morbidly obese or very hypo or fatty liver, all these things, when they cut out carbs, they will feel it within the day. You need to listen to your body. It's not going to work for you. I did it myself. I gained all the weight back as soon as I got off. And you can't stay on because you put yourself in such a survival state that not only do you start to go nuts, but if anything bad happens, your brain, that control that you have over your diet, you lose the ability to handle stress. And so when you face stress and trauma in your life on a ketogenic diet, you will immediately start binging. It's almost without even saying, especially from a super morbidly obese perspective or a morbidly obese perspective. I can't speak to Tim, who's lost 30 pounds or whatever, and he is relatively thin. He was not huge or anything. I'm not talking about his experience. I'm talking about fatties, very, very fat people. Do not do this, please.
I was doing for a long time less than 50, and I lost 30 pounds.
Less than 50 is extremely strict. Very, very strict. It's a very harsh way of losing weight. It's very adrenal and very estrogenic. It's a super estrogenic way to lose weight, and it's very anti-T. It raises all your stress hormones. It's very bad for your metabolism. I hope he took breaks. If you take a break at least once a month and you carb up, it can mitigate a lot of the damage. But if he didn't, he messed himself up. And now if he does stay off for too long or if he does eat too much, he will absolutely put weight on because it does slow your metabolism.
Then I got around stable and decided not to do heavy keto like I had been doing. And I reintroduced a certain degree of carbs, but typically per day, it's less than 50. Some days on the weekend, like I mentioned, I had bread. It can be upwards of 80, but that's atypical. Actually, it's probably unfair to say because I think I probably hit around 40 to 50. Actually, that's probably not even fair either. I don't want to say I'm doing keto, but for breakfast, I just have coffee with cream, heavy cream. That's it. And then
That's horrible. It's really harsh. So even within scientific studies, they will say having just coffee and cream with no sugar, it will raise your adrenaline. Like it raises those stress hormones, those stress markers. You should have carbs with coffee. You should have coffee on a full stomach. You should not be doing that. It's not good for you. And once again, when you're super morbidly obese, when you're very big, you will feel these effects very fast. When you're thinner, you can kind of take a punch. That's what I always say on this channel. Thinner people, you can take a punch, but it's still a punch. It's not actually helping.
Typically, I'll eat something like, I don't know, chicken wings or something. So I'm probably actually still.
Chicken wings are poofalicious, fried on those oils. So once again, I would never eat Tim's diet at this point. I think it's probably one of the worst diets I've heard in a long time. And he is only staying thin through extreme calorie restriction, period.
Getting much carbs. But this past week, I've had some sandwiches. I enjoy sandwiches. Let me show you this video. And
so let's go ahead and see what I'm assuming will be the opposite extreme.
Man, it's so sad to watch. Okay, and some of you probably gonna get grossed out.
Really rich in cheddar.
All right, let's start over.
I got the bag. Today it's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna do what I eat.
So we can see she's eating fast food. So it is absolutely true. Fast food will make you super morbidly obese and morbidly obese. It will cause hypothyroidism. There are so many harmful oils in fast food, particularly within hydrogenated soybean oil. It's all over. They use that same oil every single day. I used to work in fast food. It is like black. It is rancid. It is so bad for you. It is so inflammatory. It is so hypo creating. It will make you nuts to eat this food. Do not eat fast food, please. And if you do, do not get anything fried because you will end up like her, period.
Starting at 4 p.m. I got a pretzel and cheese.
That cheese sauce is probably pure seed oil. That pretzel probably has it in it as well.
Okay, she got a pretzel and cheese from Sonic. I want to point something out. Have y'all ever seen the episode of Family Guy where Meg becomes an influencer by eating whatever she can pull out of the fridge, called Refrigerator Meg, and she gets so fat that she basically dies, and then Peter consumes some drug called Pancresta and turns into a ball of energy? Whatever about that last part. She looks like Meg from Family Guy eating all of this nasty food.
Starting at 4 p.m. I got a pretzel and cheese.
That's gross.
Now, I feel bad for her because she's young. She's not really feeling the effects of these foods. But I can tell you, post 25, girl, you're going to feel it. You're going to start to feel like you're having a heart attack. You're going to start having panic attacks. You may even get it sooner because women take birth control a lot of the time. So it can cause their hypo to be even worse, with some exceptions. But most of the time it will make it worse. So you may even start feeling these panic attacks and things like that within your early 20s if you continue to. You may even be feeling it now, honestly. But it will only get worse. It will get worse and worse and worse. And eventually you will start feeling very aggressive or closed off from other people. It makes a lot of, these feelings of anxiety. It causes a lot of women to feel very controlling or very hypervigilant about things that affects your dating life. It affects everything. It affects your friendships. It can affect your relationship with your family. Like, the mental health effects are even worse in a lot of ways than the physical effects at first. But I can assure you, girl, you may not care at all. You may feel like you're young and it doesn't matter. But I guarantee you within 10 years, you're going to absolutely regret this. Absolutely.
Pretzel and cheese.
Cheddar pepper I've never tried.
I know I do.
Cheddar pepper. She looks really happy eating all this
Really
stuff.
rich.
All right, then she eats
Corn dog.
Corn dog. Pure poofa. Poofa dog. Got those oils. Look at how many oils she's eating. I told you guys. I know obesity. Call me psychic. But I knew how much seed oil she was eating just by looking at her.
I'm just gonna skip forward.
Frozen yogurt.
Okay.
Cocoa.
Then she goes to a grocery
I
store.
got frozen yogurt tart.
Okay, this frozen yogurt tart, not too bad. So this is her thyroid probably crying out for some type of carbs because of all those horrible PUFA oils she ate. She's probably super low energy. She probably feels like crap. So this is her body trying to get some kind of nutrition from the dairy. A lot of times when people are extremely hypo, They require huge amounts of calcium, so you will find yourself having very, very high dairy cravings. Dairy is not bad, you should eat it, but as with anything, calories matter, right? And then this fruit is one of the best foods for your thyroid. So this is her thyroid reaching out and trying to get some help. And it wants the sugar because your thyroid requires sugar to create thyroid hormone. And by looking at her, I can almost guarantee you she has fatty liver, especially with all the fast food she's eating. So she is going to have conversion issues and all these things. So she's going to require more sugar and more of these carbs and stuff to get through the day, just to have enough energy.
Frozen yogurt
strawberries, mango.
I want to note again, this woman is morbidly obese.
Okay.
So now she's getting more fast food. So this is going to be still a lot more seed oils in these foods. So really, we'll see what she's eating, but it seems like the only real sustenance that's keeping her going is that yogurt.
I got tortillas tacos. Oh no, sorry, velvet taco, and
Taco itself probably isn't too terrible as long as the tortillas aren't fried, but they very likely are in those horrible oils. Let's see what else she got.
Panda Express.
Panda Express.
Puffa Express. Okay, so those are fried. I'm telling you guys, the proof is in the puffa pudding. Which, by the way, they do put puffa in pudding, at least the banana pudding at Publix. I got on my grandma's case because she got that and it had puffa, had canola oil in it. Canola oil is really horrible. So, anyways, let's continue.
Okay. What is that right there? She got crab rangoon. Okay, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, the calories are high because those oils make it unsatisfying. So you can continue to eat and eat and eat.
7. No. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
If these were fried in beef fat, she wouldn't be able to eat all of them. She'd get full. But in those oils, you can go on forever.
8 crab rangoon. Okay, this one's okay. I love crab rangoon.
So she's having crab. That's also her thyroid crying out. Because that would be good for your thyroid.
I will allow that one. No, but in all seriousness, she gets Panda Express and tacos. She then eats them drenched in sauces.
Puffa Express. Yeah. So that stuff is pretty bad. I know that the chow mein is awful. It's so bad for you. The chicken, I'm pretty sure. It may not have puffa. I know it has cornstarch on it. I'm not exactly sure about the chicken, but if I had to guess, it's probably really bad. It's bad. I know the chow mein is bad. I can feel the oil on that. So, and then I know that fried rangoon or whatever it is. I don't remember the name. I don't know. I don't ever eat that. I never ate that because I had to not eat gluten because I was so hypo. Couldn't tolerate bread anymore. But anyways, let's see.
Then gets what looks like the honey shrimp from Panda Express. Hey, there's broccoli in there at least and chow mein. And then she eats that.
Chow mein is bad.
Looks like she also got wontons and broccoli and she just films herself eating, which is kind of gross. And an egg roll. So
okay. Pretty sure the egg roll's fried. The egg roll is fried as well. It's a lot. Look at how many of those oils she's eating. It's a lot. It's probably almost half her amount of calories for the whole day is those oils. You can see it. You can see the moon face. You can see the effects on her. And she's probably awful to be around on an emotional and psychological level. She's probably a nightmare.
As well. Then tacos. Jeez, and another.
No offense, girl, but I'm just keeping it 100.
Taco. Is that a waffle taco? What is she eating? And, okay. This is.
So it's a huge amount of calories and it's a huge amount of seed oils. So this is what makes somebody super morbidly obese. Why do people eat so many calories? Because the food itself is not satisfying. And the hypo state that you put yourself in, you have more cravings for food. I highly doubt that she's getting treated for anything she could be, but I doubt it because she doesn't care about her health. And she's young and dumb and she thinks it doesn't matter and it's all a big joke and whatever. And for a while, you can handle it. You can feel okay. But as I said, post 25, she will absolutely be feeling it, if not even sooner.
Us. Sorry, man. It is. You call it fat phobic? I don't care what you call it. This woman is dying.
Yeah, it's not fat phobic to point out how awful somebody's diet is. It's not fat phobic to point out the effects that these foods will have on her, to point out the physical health factors, the psychological health factors that this will cause. To get out of it, it is going to be very hard for her. It is brutal. I would just suggest starting as young as you can, because usually the younger you are, the less damage you have. And it's a little easier to get out of, but she doesn't look like she's taking anything seriously. She's going to keep eating it up at this rate as she keeps going. Like I said, for 10, 20 years, she will have horrible health effects in the years to come. I guarantee it. It took me till I was about 28 to be like getting towards like near death, being really low. Really, really, really low at that time. That's pretty young. And so 12 years, girl. You got 12 years, maybe even less, like I said, because of if you are taking birth control on top of it, it's even worse. Throw in some SSRIs for her depression that she likely will have from all of these foods. It's a disaster. When you layer all these things on top of each other, it is so, so, so harmful. And she really should not be eating like this. You really should not be eating like this, girl. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I feel for her, I do, because I know where this road leads. And it's very sad. It's very sad. And she likely has, I wouldn't be shocked if she has a form of BED. So that's a lot. And if she's doing that every day, she might have some serious issues, but she won't get help. Probably not, because, you're supposed to be this big and blah, 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 and insert the rest of the fat acceptance rhetoric. That's so helpful, of course.
She's 16 years old, and she's making what is the purpose of this content but to show the rest of the world that we don't deserve it? I don't
understand what he's saying there, but I appreciate it just because I can tell you guys how people get fat because she shows it. I can show you guys how much seed oil consumption the average fat person has. So I appreciate people showing this stuff because then people know what people are eating. And they know, she wasn't eating tons and tons of sugar, was she? She wasn't eating tons and tons of meat either. She was eating tons of those oils and tons of starchy carbs from like wheat, bread, that kind of stuff. That's the vast majority of her calories. That will make you fat. Congrats. Congratulations. You're smo. You're super morbidly obese, girl. I'm sure you're proud.
Eat very fine foods, delicious steaks, but not that much. Even when I go to the nice restaurants, I'm like, what happened? I got food poisoning at Outback. All this food.
Ew. Ew.
Comes out and I'm like, I did not realize it was going to be so massive because I don't eat out that much. I actually eat out quite a bit, probably. But I don't know if I eat at these places where the food portions are massive bowls. But
it's because technically in the United States, it's customary to take some of it home. That's why. It's not that big of a deal. It's probably hella expensive. So you're supposed to, in America, what's expected is for you to take, to have more than one meal out of it, especially for the price, especially these days.
To the important point about this morbidly obese woman. I keep hearing these stories where people say, like, I am from this country And when I came to the United States, I gained weight, and I don't know how.
Oils, seed oils, estrogen in the wheat. It's a lot. Also pollution. There's a lot of stuff that causes it, but it's mostly the seed oils. The number one cause is seed oils. But our wheat is different here as well, and it's not great. We don't process our wheat very well. So love that for us. So there's like a fungus on it, and it has a lot of estrogen in it, in that fungus, in our wheat, because we don't process it well. And that's a United States specific. God bless the USA, we know what to do to really mess ourselves up. So
Talk about how, it's carbs. Like I was saying, I cut out a lot of carbs.
it's not carbs, it's the oils.
I think it's portion control. And I'll tell you what
Yes, but you can't have portion control if you're starving, which you would be starving if you have severe hormonal issues, which she likely does, as she's so huge.
thoughts on all of this are.
Which, again, for the thin people in the audience that are going to trip out and be like, if you admit that super morbidly obese people are unhealthy, then you must acknowledge that it will have effects on somebody's appetite or on somebody's body or on how they process foods, on their digestive system, on their organs. Things are different. You're in a different striata when you are that big. So at this point, she would be eating a lot regardless. Even if she stopped eating the seed oil, she'd still be eating a lot because she would need to get through the day at this point. She's messed herself up really badly.
So I've heard from a lot of people like, oh, don't eat too much rice. It's full of carbs. You'll get fat. Don't eat too much bread. It's full of...
So rice and bread, if you do eat a lot of it, it is very insulinogenic. So I think if you are okay physically, you would get full. But if you were trying to lose fat, I wouldn't suggest having it in large amounts because they're not really weight loss foods. And you're more likely to gain weight eating them. Like, it's more weight gain friendly than weight loss. You'd want to focus more on fruit if you're trying to lose weight. Fruits and juices and potatoes, that kind of stuff. Stuff that has potassium in it, stuff that is a bit more natural, less insulinogenic, that's going to help you lose weight. So you want to just have more and then less of like the rice and bread and stuff like that. Because that's going to slow down weight loss. So that's what I would say.
You'll get fat. Now, it's true there's a bunch of weird preservatives and chemicals in our food that are probably screwing us up.
That too. Eating non-organic, it's bad. There's a lot of anti-thyroid chemicals and all this stuff. There's just a lot of stuff in our food here. So there's a lot of problems in the United States when it comes to the food supply, which is why these issues, in particularly something like the seed oils, they are so drastically bad for people here because there's so many other environmental factors going on in the United States that make you put on weight. So that's why I go so hard on this, because this is something you can avoid. People can't always just eat organic. People can't always, get out of cities and not live in a polluted area. People can't always do those things. So you have to do what you can, and you can control the seed oils, which is why I go hard on it. But it is a holistic thing that we must consider, and I do think we do have to have changes in the future. We need to cut down on our pollution. We need to cut down on plastic usage, especially within our foods, but really in general. There's a lot of things that need to be done. We are in a very, very dire situation. But what we do have control over is our diet, and you can avoid things that make it 10 times worse. But yes, everybody should do the best they can.
But it's portions. People who live over...
It's much, much more than portions. But yes, that is an aspect of it. But if your body is working properly, you will feel full at the proper portion. It's not something that requires tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of willpower every single day. If that's the case, you're probably not eating enough, or you have a lot of hormonal problems, or both.
will be like, I eat rice and chicken, and then I come to America and I'm eating the same thing, but I'm gaining so much weight. And I'm like, dude,
Seed oils.
I don't think you realize that when you are I went to Thailand and I said, I want Thai food. And he was like, you want real Thai food? My buddy's like, I'll give you real Thai food. And it wasn't Pad Thai or Pod CU or whatever. It was a small little family restaurant, corner store, and it was steamed chicken and rice. That's it. No salt, no flavors. It was delicious. Didn't need anything else. I think they had like a little fish oil or something, like a weird little.
Ugh. Maybe for flavor. That's gross. I would not want that. It's not going to help my thyroid. I'd be like Mega Moon if I had that after.
Thing of like, I don't know what it was. And I was like, I don't need any what that is. And it was just on the table. But it was just steamed chicken.
I doubt they just have fish oil on the table. That would go rancid. Fish oil is very unstable. So you can't just keep it out like that. That's nasty.
Dark and white meat with some rice.
It would smell really bad.
And it was like a cup of rice, maybe a half cup. That's it. Have you ever gone to Panda Express? That is not eating the same thing. It is not normal. We take 3 or 4 cups of sugar sauce fried rice.
Fried in the oils, even worse. It's bad. He's not wrong, but he's blaming sugar. It's not the sugar. It's bad. It's really bad. I got a lot fatter eating Panda Express. Honestly, I used to eat it all the time. So I will concur. You will gain weight eating Panda Express. If you eat it with any frequency, it's very bad. It's probably one of the worst, honestly. I haven't eaten there in years, but it's because I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't have the gluten anymore and I couldn't trust Panda. I didn't trust them. But back in my gluten days, ooh, woo! I would go to Panda all the time when I was in college and, you know, it was horrible. It was really big.
Blanket it in a bowl, and then we take 3 cups of sugar-glazed, breaded, deep-fried chicken.
I thought it was deep fried. Remember the oils.
Put all over the top. Now, okay, some people are probably saying like, but I eat the same as I did back home. Maybe they...
You probably didn't have as many of those oils back home, period. And I think he is right. I think there is an aspect of portion as well. But again, if those oils were not on the food, you would be getting full. They do interfere with satiety. So that's probably why these companies use it, because it's really a 1-2 punch. The oils are subsidized by the government, and they also make people eat more, which means they buy more, which means they spend more money. So it's really a 1-2 punch.
Genuinely do mean like they're having just chicken and rice, but I don't think they understand. I think what's happening is, yes, there's garbage in our food. Yes.
If you have chicken and rice with no oil, you're going to get sick of it. It would be like, ugh, you'd be full. You'd eat it for a while and then you'd get full. Guarantee you. If you have those oils on it, put some sugar in it with the oils, you combine it, ooh, it'll be like eating air. It'll be like eating air.
Plastics, it's probably screwing us up. What I think
That's also true.
people don't realize that they're like, where I come from, I would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But breakfast, lunch, and dinner was like a chicken wing single with a half cup of rice. And in America, breakfast is 4 chicken wings and 2 cups of rice. And lunch is 4 chicken wings and 2 cups of rice. I don't think people realize that portions are massive here. So I'll tell you my thoughts right now, having lost a bunch of weight. Because like throughout my life, I've gained and lost weight. It happens. And
He's lost 30 pounds. It's not that much. Just saying. At this point, I've lost, from my highest, I've lost the same as him.
be conscious of just eating healthier, not because I cared too much about being overweight. I cared about not being healthy. And after a while, I realized, like, I'm exercising, but I'm not taking vitamins. You know, Joe Rogan was like, bro, take vitamins. And I was like, good point. And so, you know, ultimately, I cut out all the sugars.
You do have to take vitamins on keto because you're missing out on a lot of nutrition, particularly vitamin C. It's difficult. And they would say you don't need as much vitamin C because you have less carbs, but it is more difficult just because a lot of the stuff that they have you eat, like kale and spinach and stuff, kale is one of the worst foods for your thyroid. It is awful. Spinach has so much oxalate in it, you can get a kidney stone from it. It's really harsh. And the oxalate is not good for your thyroid, and it's also not good for mineral absorption, and it can cause issues. It's not that great. So I myself, I tried very, very hard with keto. I had tons and tons of salad every single day when I was keto because I need to keep my potassium up in order to keep my appetite down. Otherwise, I'd be way too hungry. Or I'd feel like I was dying, which I felt like it anyways over time. But it is difficult to get your nutrients on a ketogenic diet. So that's probably why it's suggested that he was saying to take vitamins. It's not that great of a diet. It just isn't. But a lot of times too, they have you eat a lot of like sardines, and you eat a lot of PUFA still, and so it's not really great at all. It just isn't.
I
remember when I used to eat sardines, I'd have insomnia so bad. I had terrible keto insomnia, but there were certain foods where it would be even worse. And I mean, like, you're staring at the ceiling for like 6 hours, insomnia. That would happen to me every time I ate sardines. Yep. That was how I was supposed to get my calcium, because they were like against dairy, which it was weird. Keto people are really weird. I'm sorry. I'm throwing a little bit of shade. You guys are weird. You just want to keep eliminating things out of your diet until there's nothing left.
Sugars are gone. I don't really drink sodas. I have coconut water here because of the food poisoning. I want to make sure.
Good. I'm glad he is. Oh my gosh, 1 point for Tim. That's amazing. Keep that potassium coming, because he was saying in another video that he can't handle beef, and I think it's because he has low stomach acid, which is from lack of potassium and hypo.
Electrolytes back up. And this one's got 13 grams of sugars in it. And I don't think it's added sugar, actually. I think
no, it's just from the fruit. It's fine.
It's just natural. It doesn't taste very sweet, but I don't mind a little bit of sugar. And so ultimately what I started reading more, and here's the conclusion that I came to. Keto will help you lose weight. And I think
No, it won't. Not if you're super morbidly obese. It absolutely won't. You'll end up putting it back on. And then you'll probably gain even more. And even if you are on it and you're not super morbidly obese, if you get off of it, you will gain weight. It slows your metabolism. It's anti-thyroid. Anything regarding weight loss, you want to be supporting your thyroid. Your thyroid is the weight loss center of your body. It's what controls your metabolism. So anything that is harming that or slowing it down, like veganism and keto, these diets are terrible, terribly abysmal for thyroid health. And if you do it, it will have issues. You will have problems, especially as a very, very obese person. I would never suggest that. Do not. So he is wrong. Otherwise, you'll have to be like him, and you'll have to barely crack 1,300 calories to keep the weight off. I don't want to live that way. And I don't feel bad for not wanting to live that way.
it really does this because it puts a tremendous, it makes your body work hard. Converting fats into ketones, extra work for the body, and also
extreme stress hormones, hair loss, mood issues, insomnia, diarrhea, terrible psychological effects. Horrible diet. Terrible. If you do keto, take breaks, ideally once a week. If you're going to do it, at least carb up once a month. I had a much better time when I carbed up once a month. When I went 4 months strict keto, it ruined me. It was horrible.
portion control. When you're eating keto, you're satiated more faster because of more proteins and fats. I got to tell you, I eat like one bite of fat and I'm like, I can't eat anymore. Ooh, so much.
It's weird. It's usually I think it's because you're running on adrenaline. So your digestive system isn't that great. And then you kind of go into this weird zone where your hunger goes out. And then you can just not eat and not eat and not eat. But eventually you crash. Eventually. And then you will put the weight back on. Because eventually you will need carbs again, which Tim does. He still does now. So again, a lot of people talk about keto. They talk about how great it is. They act like they never get off of it, but he's off of it. He's not doing it. Don't fall for this. It's a scam.
Really, fat fills me up. Sugar doesn't.
Then why do you keep eating it, Tim? Why are you having bread? Why are you having coconut water? Like, it's so odd to me how the keto sort of like ideology is so insane that they will literally talk about how awful carbs are as they're eating carbs because they need them. Don't feel bad about eating carbs. It's okay. It's fine, you guys.
I had like 2 weeks ago, we've got Coca-Cola in there. It's real sugar Coca-Cola, for the Mexico glass bottle stuff.
He's constantly talking about sugar. For somebody who doesn't need sugar or doesn't care about it, why are you keep talking about it? It's because it's BS, Tim.
And I thought to myself, I was like, let's try and have it. I mean, and see how I feel. It was awful. I was hungry nonstop the rest of the day. It was the weirdest feeling ever. Nothing I ate was making.
Oh, look, you feel what a typical fat person feels. Congrats, because you've messed up your hormones. Congratulations, Tim. If I have a Coke, I'm full for 3 or 4 hours. Because I don't eat those oils and I'm better now. I got to a point where I could eat marshmallows and I'd be full for 6 hours. How's that for some carb metabolism? Pretty fucking awesome, if you ask me. For somebody who's fat, any fat person that's listening to me is probably like, what? Yeah. That's how it is for normal thin people, you guys. I know it's crazy. It was a shock to me too.
Feel better. I'm like, I don't want to eat.
I can drink orange juice and I'm full for hours. If I drink a lot, sometimes I'll drink a whole jug and I'll be full for like 7 hours or 6 hours, something like that. Like I can go a whole day after that. It's really nice. It's nice to be able to process carbs and have it be okay. It's really cool. But I do suggest activity. I wouldn't suggest not moving. Move if you can. Or move if you can and as soon as you can. I know I'm talking to people that are really huge. If you're super huge and you can't move, I get it. Just do what you need to do. But if you can move, because that will help too. It helps with your carb metabolism, which doesn't sound like Tim. It sounds like he does exercise, but I don't know. I don't know what his exercise is like, but you don't want to be immobile. It's not great. Not good.
I'm not drinking that stuff ever again. Doesn't happen with this coconut water. So ultimately, the conclusion I came to is, I think...
Does it or doesn't it, Tim? That's what's interesting to me.
Sugars are fine, if a little bit, because your body can rapidly utilize it for fuel. But I still think you need to be heavy on the protein because that's what your body needs to build itself. You take vitamins. So my strategy right now is...
So when it comes to macros, I don't talk about it as much. I think it's very individual. Macros really depend on you, what you're craving. There are some days when I need more carbs. There are some days when I need more fat. There are some days when I need more protein. I do agree that leaning a bit heavier on the protein is good, but it's not like a requirement. You don't need to make it a law that you're following. Like, just do what your body needs. Like, your body will communicate with you. And you'll be able to tell. Like, there are times when I'm really, really craving carbs and I need them so bad. And I'll typically, at times, I will even have candy, or I'll have an apple juice, or, I'll have some kind of juice, and I will feel so much better. And then there are other times when I'm really craving fat and I am just like eating too low of fat. And over the days, my body is like, and I'm like, ugh. And so I'll have like full fat dairy or pork rinds or something like that and lean more heavily on the fat that day, especially when I'm counting. I still will stay within my calorie limits. And you sometimes just have to manipulate your macros. Like, these days, I've been pretty low in iron. So when I feel like I'm like, ugh, like when I feel really tired or weird or whatever, I eat liver, and that will bump up the iron, and then I feel better. Like, you need to you have to have an open communication with your body in terms of macros. So if he feels like protein is what he's craving, go for it. I'm never going to shame somebody for any of their choices. If somebody's like, I really want to just eat fat and protein and I feel fine without as many carbs, it's like, that's fine. But I still think you should have some carbs throughout the day, even if it would just be like a glass of juice or, a few servings of fruit or something. It doesn't have to be drastic. But I still think most people will fare better with some carbs in the morning.
Don't overdo the.
And some carbs before bed. Those 2 times are really good because it helps you sleep better at night too when you have some before. So a lot of people, they struggle with getting up too early, and it's because your blood sugar is getting low, so your adrenaline goes up, so you wake up. So if you have a piece of fruit before bed, you'll sleep longer.
Sugars, focus on protein. So I like to have meats or other protein bases, some cheeses and fats. And then I actually do try to have a certain amount of sugar. I don't try to cut all the sugar out completely because I actually do like the idea that there is energy in it if done properly.
Well, I'm glad that he's eating some. It's so much better than none. And I just want to say, most keto people, when they talk to fat people, they act like you should never have any at all. So I'm telling you the exact opposite. But no, him trying to have some, it's better than none. It's still not great. You should have it until you're satisfied, basically. That would be my suggestion.
Not overloaded.
You don't need to flip out about carbs, be terrified of them, really be just insane about it every single day. You just need to live your life, for the most part. I would be insane and whatever about the seed oils. That I would be. That it's worth it to be that strict. But carbs, just see how you feel. If it's too much, then have less next time. You just communicate with the body. It's not a big deal.
This video of this woman, she's basically eating nothing but sugar the whole time.
She's eating nothing but seed oils.
I went on some website and I looked up, like, what should I do? What should I eat? And it said I should eat 400 carbs per day. And I'm like, what?
400 is a bit high. I would say at least 100 or 150, I think, is fine for most people. Less than that, it's pretty low. 400 is a lot, but for me, it would probably be fine because I'm big and I'm active. But again, it really depends on you. You have to keep your calories within some kind of reasonable level, So it's like, if you're having a huge amount of carbs, like, you're going to have less fat that day, or you're going to have less protein. Like, you have to keep things within somewhat of a balance. But I do think 400 it could be a bit high for a thinner person. It could be. It could not be. It depends. But I can understand why he's like, what? But I think less than 100 is too low. I think 150 would be good. That's like a good place. Like 150 to 200 is probably fine for most thin people.
For how much you weigh, how much you exercise, this is how much you should be eating. And I'm like, I go skate the half pipe regularly. Not so much in the past week. I kind of busted my leg. I think I may have broken it. But
okay, that's exaggeration, Tim. You don't think you broke your leg. You know you did.
I can still walk. I think I might have put a hairline fracture in it or something. Fell.
Probably just a sprain. This is Tim being dramatic.
It happens. And but not
Or
enough to warrant anything
a bruised bone.
and just not
You can't walk on a broken bone, Tim.
for a couple of weeks. But I can not eat for 2 days and still go skate and have an epic session.
Not in your leg, anyway.
It's the weirdest thing. What are these people doing eating so much? That's the thing, man. One of the things that's breaking us down is not just the weird social fracturing, but this is a component of it. We got too much stuff. Maybe that's why they're saying you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. But this idea of a 15-minute city where you can have everything you need, people are just going to gorge themselves to death. What we need is a cultural transformation. We need people who...
What we need is a break from scarcity mindset. We need to have better policies where the economy is working better and people don't feel like they have nothing in their life other than food. That's what we need. That would be a huge help. If people felt like they had options to travel, to go places, to see things, to go to concerts or do stuff that's fun that isn't food because they had enough resources and time to do that because there was less scarcity, you would have less of an issue. We live in a time of immense scarcity compared to previous decades and previous time periods. Not that far back, before the 50s, it was pretty horrible. Let's keep it 100. But it was pretty good in the 80s and 90s. And, even in the 2000s, it was pretty good. Since then, we've really been in a contraction for a long time. And with more scarcity, less time, you have to work more hours for less money, or your money doesn't go as far, especially with the inflation and stuff. People are turning to food and turning to these things because they can't afford to do anything else, or they feel like very hopeless about things. I mean, we were just in a horrible situation in 2020 that I can't even really talk about on here, but it definitely set a lot of people up to gain massive amounts of weight. It was horrible. And so Tim advocating for more scarcity is the absolute wrong take here. We should have more abundance. There should be more to life than just food. And things like fruit and meat and eggs and these things should be cheaper and more plentiful. That would make people struggle less, because when scarcity becomes a thing, people start tripping. They start tripping out. They start eating a lot. When you feel like you don't have food security, you often will eat more. And so he's wrong. Period.
Want to come together with some kind of personal responsibility, some kind of moral traditions. And I'm not saying historical traditions. I'm saying moral tradition that we pass down. Something we say, this is what we agree is good, and then this is what we should follow. And that includes eating responsibly and not making money off being morbidly obese and having people watch you eat food. It's disgusting and crazy.
Okay, well I'm all for some kind of morality, I'm not one of those that's like, morals are horrible. It's like, yes, like gluttony is bad. Absolutely. But I think that we need to just make sure that we address why, and we can come at it at every single angle. But absolutely, yes, some responsibility for yourself. Absolutely, I agree with that. Yes, gluttony is bad. Absolutely, I agree with that. We're in agreement there, but just we need to hit it at all angles. So from a societal perspective, environmental perspective, a moral perspective, a reasonable, logical perspective, physical perspective, however many perspectives, we need to attack the issue of obesity. It needs to get better. So I agree with any and all things that will get us there.
And I feel like
I do agree, though, that the weird algorithmic incentives for people to binge eat on camera is very strange. Very, very strange, but there's an audience for it, so people like to see it for some reason. It's weird.
Like so many other people on TikTok are being abused. But maybe it's a natural selection. I try to make sure I'm healthy, so I eat right. That means I'll live longer.
You're probably not that healthy, though, Tim. I'm not saying that I'm healthier than Tim. I'm not at this point. I'm probably not. But we're probably on more similar levels than he would like. But he's not taking good care of himself, in my opinion, which I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for saying that, but oh well.
It means my friends and my family and future kids will have better lives. But these people won't, and they will struggle. The end result will be their genetic line ends and mine continues. Granted, I don't have kids right now and I'm 37, so for most...
Well, some people care about that and some people don't. I do care about that myself. But some people don't care, and it is what it is, I guess, if they don't. I think a lot of people fear having children because they're so hypo and they don't have any energy. And they just feel like, how could I ever do this? I don't have any energy to do anything. I can barely hold down a job, or I can barely clean my house or something. But it's really a lack of energy and hormonal problems that make people feel that way. And it's bad. So just saying, you want to take care of yourself. Because sometimes you don't know what you really want until you're healthy, until you're healthier.
View. Many of you younger than me who have kids, you're more successful. I hope.
But to be honest, that goes back to the whole economy system. Like, we need to have a better functioning economy, period. It's horrible right now.
You just take that message to heart and make sure that moving forward, your kids are being given those proper moral and cultural traditions so that they can bestow upon their kids and their kids after them. And then maybe in 100 years, they'll look back and be like, you know, my mom, my dad, or my ancestors, smart people. They believed in things that mattered, and they made sure that we had a good life, and we were happy, and we were healthy, and that'll be a good thing.
Tim is concerned with legacy. He's a Gryffindor. I'm a Slytherin, so I'm concerned with impact. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go down that. It's too cheesy for today, but I just had to. I also, every time I hear of legacy or think about it, I think of Taylor Swift when she sings her song in Maroon, but I won't sing it because YouTube will probably think I'm saying something naughty, so I won't. But she says, that's a real blanking legacy. Anyway, side note.
Things are going now. Man, this video is sad. This is child abuse. I don't understand how this is any different than starving a kid. If you had
It is bad. It's really bad. But I think it's lack of education. I think most people know that starving a kid is bad. A lot of people, they know that this is bad, but they don't know how or why, which means it can seem superstitious to a fat parent or to a parent. It can seem extra and superstitious and like you're just being overly judgmental. You have to really break down why it's a problem.
16-year-old kid and they were anorexic and they were like, well, my mom doesn't give me food. They'd be like, we're intervening and giving this kid food. But when they do the opposite and just jam food down your mouth and put it on the internet to capitalize off of, how is that not the same thing?
It's really sick that there's an audience for that. I think that gets me a lot. A lot of people do really stupid things online because they're algorithmically and audience-based pressured into doing things. It's really sick. It's really, really sick. I don't think content creation is not for the faint of heart or the mega impressionable. That's why I don't really suggest it for super, super young people in general, because your defenses to that kind of thing are so weak.
I guess. The state to intervene? I don't know if that's the answer, man. All I know is the end result is going to be these people don't have kids.
I think education, showing a different path, showing something attainable, not something unattainable like ketogenic, something real and attainable that people can do and can see themselves doing that actually works and makes them feel better. That's the way forward. It's through education and shifting things in a better attainable direction. And that's what you could do. So for this girl, I would tell her, don't have this fast food. If you want some treats, make them at home and use beef fat, or try to have some coconut oil French fries, or even bacon fat fries instead of the soybean oil. Just start there. If you want to have baked goods, bake them yourself at home and just use butter. That's what I would tell her. And I'm guessing they have some money because fast food is really expensive and she's eating out like 50 billion times a day. So she should be able to do that. That would be an achievable goal for someone like her. And she would feel better, and over time her appetite would go down. Even if it took a year, it would still put her in a better position in a year than she's going to be now. She'll be in a worse position in a year. But people that are thin, they often push for black and white solutions, or you must be perfect. I don't say that. I just look at what's attainable and what will actually help and get you on the right track towards healing your hormones over time. And then your appetite will reduce and you'll just feel better. You'll start looking towards other forms of entertainment or other things, other hobbies, jobs, etc. You just change. You change as you get healthier.
It is what it is. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I know a lot of people who are overweight and say they don't care.
It's terrible. You should care.
And I'm fairly libertarian. If you want to eat food, eat food. I just think personal responsibility needs to be a component of our culture. We don't need authoritarianism. We need personal responsibility. You don't need some...
We need to not lie to people all the time. That would really help. We need actual education. We need actual truth. I'll have you guys know one of the biggest foods to lose weight is a salad, which is often covered in these seed oils in those dressings. If you look at your Kraft salad dressing, which is typical, it has a bunch of seed oils in it. It is a horrible food for weight loss, but that's what we tell people to eat. We suggest that fat people do diets like ketogenic and veganism. It's terrible. Horrible for thyroid health. One of the worst choices you could make as an obese person is to do those diets. No, but that's what we tell people, and we pressure them, and eventually people give up and they say, I just want you to leave me alone. I don't care. But they do. They do care, but they're just, you get tired of it. People don't understand. They don't understand how things feel when you're of a certain size. It's different. And when you say that, I have people on my channel say I'm saying morbidly obese people are a different species. The responses are crazy. But it is what it is. I don't really care. Like I've said, I'm older. I'm grown. People can say whatever the hell they want. It doesn't bother me. But the average fat person, they tend to be like very people pleasy. A lot of times they're overworked or they're tired or whatever, and they don't want to put up with the conflict, or they're too nervous to engage in a conflict. And so they listen, and then they eventually give up. It's so sad, but this is the state that it's in. This is how it goes on for so long. This is why I'm here. I'm trying to change the system. I'm trying to change it to where this can actually start to get better. But telling this girl to eat a ketogenic diet, it's going to go in one ear and out the other.
Jackboot military guy to crack a whip and be like, stop eating that food. We need a culture that says we will just slow down and not be so insane and abusive. And if we're talking about...
We need a culture where we have a decent economy and people can choose different forms of entertainment and live their lives and feel like their goals are attainable. We need a culture where we are supporting each other in our dreams and supporting each other's goals, and not constantly having a crabs in a bucket mentality, trying to tear everybody down all the time. That's what we need. That would really help the situation, and not even just fat people. That would help everybody. So, there's... Ironically, a lot of people claim that they're against being competitive or they're against capitalism or this type of stuff. But I find a lot of the people that are against capitalism are the most capitalistic. They work the most, and they're the most cutthroat and competitive people. So I think we just need to go towards less corporatism, more just functioning economy, it working great, not benefiting corporations, benefiting the average person, and just having it to where we can have things in our life. And I think these addiction issues and this craziness and whatever online will shift. If this person didn't feel like they had to monetize their binge ED to make money because they could just more easily get a job that pays enough, or there's not terrible inflation and stuff, I don't think this would happen as often. It just wouldn't. You know, we live in a bit of a dystopia, honestly. We really do. It's tough out there. It's really hard and it needs to change. But it goes a lot further than the scope of this video. But yeah, this stuff fuels addiction. It does.
The stars and colonies and planets. We want that culture. You ever notice there's no fat people on Star Trek? Now, some might say, well, it's because they didn't want to put fat people in, on TV. And Scotty was kind of obese, to be fair. But for the most part, there's very few fat people in Starfleet. You can argue it's because it's effectively the U.S. It's the global military or it's naval tradition or whatever. But I think the point they're basically making is that the culture that survives, that transforms the galaxy, or at least their quadrant of it. It's really amazing. Brilliant show. I love Star Trek: The Next Generation. And Brave New Worlds is pretty
nerd alert
good as well. I don't mind it. The culture that survives, they care about responsibility. They care about taking care of themselves. They avoid the addictions.
Yes, I agree.
This woman, she ain't going that far. And that's sad. But it is what it is. I'll leave it there. Next segment is...
It is sad. It is very sad. But I think she's just probably has a bit of hubris. I think she thinks that it's not affecting her. I think that she believes the fat acceptance rhetoric, which is why I fight it so hard on here. And I'm so happy to have you guys helping fight. I think we all need to keep a grip on reality in general, which I will be back to that on Tuesday. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. This was fun, as always. I thought this was cool because I kind of show two opposite extremes and how they're both problems. But we will get into diets and stuff later. But I will see you guys soon. If you like this, please do like it. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. I'll see you soon. Bye.